Hello. Okay, I'm going to show you, I'm not going to do this whole chart. This is just one section of my D&D themed blanket, which I'm calling Roll 20. But this is the treasure chest, and I'm just going to show you, I'm going to do a little bit of it to show you how I carried colors on that purple, white, and black version. Tapestry is kind of a pain, and some people are really good at it. I'm not. Usually the back of my piece looks really bajinkety. So this actually is a way that seemed to work a little better and is a little neater. So I have already done, I have done my foundation row, a row of black, a row of row of DCs in the purple, and a row of black already. So the way I want this to look is I want the background to be purple. I want the chest to be black, of course, and I want the details of the chest to be white. So that'll be this stuff and this. Whoops. Whoops. There we go. That's going to stay purple in between the lids. You don't have to highlight them, but I'm just going to do this just for a little ease. All right, that's kind of sloppy, but you get the idea. So this means that I'm going to start this next row. Use my very high-tech marker here. I'm going to start this next row in purple, and I'm going to change to white so this part is white and then go back to purple. So the way to do this, I think, which is kind of a cheat, is to actually crochet with both colors at once. So I want to start with purple is how my row is going to start. So I'm going to do the usual. Get my gear in here. I'm going to do the usual border stitch, but I'm going to actually do it over this piece of white too to kind of hold it in place. It won't hold it in place super well, but enough to get us going. Sorry, I've got things going from the right side. Here we go. So my border stitch is going to be, do that twice, right? All right, and then I'm ready to go. And actually, I'm going to tell you a little trick. I've been doing this for my blankets lately, and oh my gosh, has it been a game changer. If you know you're going to be doing a border, an envelope border, make your life easier. Before you start your row, after you do your border stitch, before you start your row, do a single crochet. You see how there's these floating single crochets right here? That is going to be so much easier when it comes time to make my border. So I'm doing that for this piece, just so you know. All right. I got my yarn kind of coming from the wrong side of the table. All right, so let's go. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do right there. I've got 2 double crochets in the purple. Make sure you're not going into that floating chain stitch I just talked about. Whoops, come back here. This is awkward to do. And now I've got a single crochet and my row of white. Now what you do is anytime you're going to change colors, the stitch before you're changing to your color, so this is going to eventually be black, so it really doesn't matter what's under here, but this is where I'm going to change from purple to white before I do this run of white. What you do is you go ahead and start your stitch, but when you do your final pull through, you're swapping yarns. This feels very awkward to do the first couple times. All right, now I've got a whole run of single crochets. I've got stitch 4 through 26 of single crochets before I have to switch back to the purple. Anytime you're going to have a piece of yarn floating on the back. So anytime you have an opportunity to single crochet over a piece of floating yarn, you are going to do it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to single crochet over that purple yarn that's sitting here on top of these black stitches, right? So stitch 4, And this is awkward, and it's extra awkward because I'm holding my arms out weird on the table. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whoops, 14. This gets easier to handle when it's, you know, not a little tiny scrap like this. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, what did I say? 26, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. And now I need to change back to purple for the finish these last 4 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing a single crochet because that's what this stitch is right here, but I'm not going to pull that through to finish the stitch. I'm going to swap yarns again. And by the way, you can also, before I do this, if you want to at this time, give that a little tug and make sure you've got it nice and tight. The yarn that you just carried through all those loops. All right. And swapping to finish that stitch. Come back here, there we go. And now I've got 3 double crochets left to finish that row. 1, 2, 3. Well, a little clumsy today, apparently. Okay, now I'm going to do that 1 chain, that floating stitch, before I go ahead and go into my border stitch to close it. And I'm going to lay that piece on there again. In fact, not only am I going to do the border stitch, I'm going to grab them both and pull them both through the border stitch. It'll just hold it better. Make kind of a chunky knot, but that's okay. Pull that tight. All right. Ta-da! I got a color change, all right? Now I'm going to do the next row black so you can see how I cover any of the floating stitches left, right? So did you see what I did? That purple was carried all the way across, and I just single crocheted over it. But now I've got some loose white on the back. So now when any single crochets I do with the black, I'm going to cover those. And that's what you're going to do for the entire thing. So let's do that. I've got, start my row here, like normal, border stitch. I use Tina's method for a border stitch. Whoops. I'm really awkward today. What the heck? There we go. All right, there's my border stitch. I'm going to do 1 chain for my floating chain so I can make my life easier when I come to do my envelope border. Come back here right there. I'll set the scissors on there. I'll weigh it down a little bit. Maybe. No, it won't. Okay. Normally I'm a big fan of Knit Companion. I'm using everything on my tablet now. I'm not printing things out anymore, but if you are printing things out, they have really cheap like magnet boards they sell on Amazon that are really great for doing this sort of thing. All right, 2 single crochets and a double. So my single crochet, I'm going to go over that floating piece of white right there. Single, single. Now I got a double. And now I've got singles all the way across. That would be my dog barking at a squirrel. Good job. You told it. All right, I'm just going across here until sorry. This is really exciting, isn't it? I haven't figured out how to speed up the video yet. I'm pretty low tech, but I do think it's nice to make a video to help people out. Now, you might be noticing already there is one slight disadvantage to doing this using two skeins or 2 threads of yarn and crocheting over one when you're not using it and then swapping it out. And that is you do get a little bit of a chunkier single crochet. It's not as tight because it's going over another body of yarn. The last blanket I did, I used this technique. Actually, it looked fine in the end, but I was kind of conscious of that difference. All right, and I got one more double crochet, then 3 singles. So my double crochet to finish that end of the chest. And my singles, I'm going to go over, do I have a piece of yarn sitting there? I do. And I'm doing a single crochet. Flip to the back and say, do I have some yarn I need to be covering up? I do indeed. And my floating chain. And then that's really tight. Maybe I'll just go into this little loop right here and do my border stitch. All right. See how that's looking? And the bonus part of this technique is that the back is clean. You don't have a bunch of pieces of yarn hanging out, running over, or cut ends that you have to weave in, which I've done that technique too. Some people really like it. It drives me nuts. So I think this is the way I'm going to go from here on out. The downside of this is you're going to use more yarn. So obviously I carried that purple all the way across. Imagine doing this for all 160 stitches, right? That's going to be the issue. So you are going to use more yarn. But if you really want to do some tapestry and change it up, this carrying the 2 pieces of yarn all the way across the row and swapping as you need it. Swapping, remember, the stitch before you need that color is when you swap it. This might be a good technique for you. All right. Hope that makes a little sense. And I'm not going to do the whole chest, but I think you know what's going on now. Hopefully that helps.